What's going on, guys? Welcome back to United View. How is everybody doing? I don't know if you can hear this, you can hear it maybe in the background. If you turn your volume up really high, you'll hear it. Well, I am today. It is absolutely leathering it down. Absolutely leathering it down. We had a thing earlier on this year in the summer during the transfer window where we were like, what's the weather like? Flex sort of went with that, what's the weather like where you are and all that kind of stuff. And usually it was very nice, very hot, very humid, whatever. Where I am today in paradise, in Utopia, it's horrible. It's grey outside. It's so grey and so... it's like my soul, grey and rainy. Honestly, it's not good. It's really not good. And speaking of not good, let's talk about the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer press conference. Bang! It's those kind of segues that I'm bringing to you today, guys, because that press conference, it had some quotes in it. It had some quotes in it today. Some really, when we're going to talk about Fred and McTominay, man, oh man. Man, oh man, they are. As soon as he said it today, I thought, here we go. Here we go. I was like, Ollie, don't say that. Don't say that. I'm glad the question was asked, though, it must be said. I've criticised before when I've done these press conference reactions. I've criticised that, the reactions to it and the questions asked, rather, are just so poor and so, such a serve up and all that kind of stuff to Solskjaer. You know what you're going to get. You know the answer you're going to get. But credit to the journalists today. Credit to where it's due. They did ask some good questions. They did ask some really good questions, some probing questions, if you will. So we're going to get into those today. We're also going to get into a bit of a match preview as well for tomorrow. I've already seen a couple of people say in the chat already, and we will get your comments up on the screen too, about if there's going to be a Flex and KG show today. There is. Don't worry, it's just going to be in the evening because, of course, we've got this press conference and match preview today. So we are going to get that. So don't worry about all that kind of stuff. All the great content is still coming, so be sure to smash a like on the video. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. Before I get into any quotes, though, as well, big shout out to everyone that is a new subscriber who's a subscriber in general, because last night we hit 75,000 subscribers here on United View. So massive, massive thank you. It is only the beginning, and it's very, very exciting. We've got a great community that's building up here, so... like everyone else, I'm very, very excited for what's going on here. So I really, really do appreciate it. I really do. I really appreciate all the support and everything that this channel is getting. It's awesome. Let me know where you're watching from, as always, today as well, guys. We have such a global audience here watching on United View, and it's great. It really is great. So let me know where you're watching from, as always. Maybe it will actually, distract my mind from this terrible weather that I'm experiencing here at the moment. It's just, it's terrible. Ivan says from the Bronx in New York. Hassan says, hey up Owen, give my regards to KG and Flex and the crew. Been top busy, loving the content. Well, I really appreciate that, Hassan. I really do. Seeing everyone where they're watching from. D says from Toronto, Canada. Henok says from Ethiopia. Kristen says from Colchester in Essex. Super chat from Hiatus says, watching from Singapore. This is what I know I say this all the time, and people will say, you always repeat yourself, Owen, and I do, sorry. But it always blows my mind, just like people watching from around the world. I shouldn't be surprised in today's modern day of the internet. Daniel says, Dublin Island looks like the beginning of the end for Ollie. Interesting. Auntie says from Yonkers, New York, and a great logo as well. Appreciate that one. Muzzyland HQ says from Jamaica. We've got Malaysia as well. Is that legitimate? I doubt that is. He says into watching from the International Space Station. If you can actually prove that, if that's legitimate, then my mind will be fully blown. But I don't know if that's actually true. It must be said. I don't know if that's actually true. Right, let's get into it. I've put it off for as long as I possibly can. We'll get into the quotes from this press conference today. Oh my, honestly. And again, I've done, obviously, I do a lot of these press conferences, doing for the Premier League, doing for the Champions League, doing for any competition that we're in, and sometimes they can be a bit of a pain to sit through. They can be a bit of a bore because, again, the questions that Ollie gets sometimes are such, layups, if you will, that they're just, they're boring to watch. So, obviously, considering the result of the weekend with Aston Villa, there was a lot of anticipation as to the questions he was going to be asked. There's been lots of stuff said about Ollie, his tactics, his lack of patterns of play, style of play, etc. in the media. So I thought, here we go. We're going to get some good questions today. And we did. So we started off with Simon Peach, who asked about some team selection news. He asked what's the situation going on with Luke Shaw and Harry Maguire. This is what Solskjaer had to say. Luke has been in today, so I'll give him the chance to be involved. He didn't train with the team. Harry is more or less definitely out. It doesn't look good. It's his calf. That might be a few weeks. So that's an interesting situation there. So Harry Maguire isn't going to play tomorrow. And it looks like he's not going to play for a couple of weeks as well too. So that's concerning. It does bear the question of if his calf issue, whether it's a strain, pull, whatever it may be, but the calf injury, if the calf injury was that bad, why was he on? Why was he on for so long at the weekend? There was a load of back and forth, wasn't there, on Saturday, whereby is he going to come off? Isn't he going to come off? Let's give it 5 minutes. Let's give it 10 minutes. I'm fine. I don't think I'm fine. And it took ages to get Lindelof on and all that kind of stuff. It was just bizarre. And now it's the case of, he's going to be out for a couple of weeks. Then obviously he couldn't continue. So why was he on for such a long period of time at the weekend? Just bizarre. I don't understand that one. Good news, I suppose. When it comes to Luke Shaw, I mean, I say suppose because obviously having Luke Shaw in our side makes us a better side. Tellers, I think, would have slotted in. He didn't have the best of games. He was, frankly, the first 45 minutes against West Ham, he was awful. But I think you can give him a little bit of leeway considering that he hasn't played in a long time and he's been coming back from injury. But if Luke Shaw is capable of playing, obviously having Luke Shaw in your side makes us a better side. But at the same time as well, when it comes to the Luke Shaw issue, in my opinion, if Luke Shaw has a bit of a knock or he's 50-50 or it's kind of a case of, he's 75% ready or he's 75% likely that he could play the game or whatever, I'm not sure that I would want to risk it, if you know what I mean, because that's the reason we've got a squad, isn't it? That's the reason we've got another left back. That's the reason we've got this ginormous squad and we've spent all of these transfer fees, etc. If Luke Shaw, it's a gamble, or playing him on Wednesday night could risk him being out further for the season, I'd rather Tellez played. I think even if Tellez plays, we should be beating Villarreal, especially at home, and we don't need to be in a position where we're running players into the ground. So again, if he's capable of playing and if he can play, then again I'll be like, well, okay, then then he should play. But if it's a case of, he hasn't trained and he's not ready and all this kind of stuff, then for me that's just not worth it. That just isn't worth it. But that's a situation. I don't know if you can hear that. It's so loud. It's so loud with the rain here at the moment. Honestly, I feel like I'm in the middle of like a hurricane or something like that. That's crazy. Crazy, can you hear it? Honestly, this is the life we live in Utopia. It's madness, absolute madness. So that's the situation when it comes to team news. Next question was from Samuel Lucas, and this was the one. This was the one that was, I think everyone's going to be talking about. This is the one that on social media, all of the quotes are going to be spoken about over and over and over and over and over again, because it was asked about McFred, and it was Samuel Lucas asked about Scott McTominay and Fred playing together. He said, they've got a good record playing together, winning games and not losing, which again, I don't know about that one. But he said that every time they start, there's a sense of uproar. And he basically asked Solskjaer, why do you play Scott McTominay and Fred so often? And this is what he had to say. He said, the way we broke up play against Villa, I think they're very instrumental together. The energy and desire, I really like to have the two of them. I can trust them to give us what they've got. And as soon as they said that, I went, here we go. As soon as he said that, I thought, Ollie, we know that's the case. And we know that's the truth. I've said it here a million times here on the channel. Flex has said it a million times here on the channel. You've probably said it a million times here on the channel in the comments and all this kind of stuff. We've seen it on social media. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer does like McFred. That's why they play all the time. But when you come out and you say, I tell you what, against Villa, I thought they played very well. I thought they broke up the play very well. Energy and desire. I really like to have the two of them. I can trust them to give them all to give us all that they've got. I was like, oh no, Ollie, no, you can't say that. You just can't say that. He also said, fans can have their opinion on team selection, especially when you have good players like me. It's actually harder to leave players out. Well, first of all, not to sound like Roy Keane, that is your job. You know what I mean? That is your job. That is your job to be like, you have to leave players out. It's part of the job. But that isn't. If what he's looking at is just a case of, it's just they have energy and desire. They have great energy and desire. Is that it? Is that what we've settled for Manchester United players? Oh, they have great energy and desire. That's all I'm looking for. Seriously? Seriously, that's insanity. That's absolute insanity. But you've heard it from his mouth at this point. This isn't speculation anymore. This isn't a case of, well, I know you look at the team selection and he plays those players, and I look at these players and he really likes playing Fred and McTominay. He said it himself. He said it. He said, I like playing Fred and McTominay. They have energy and desire. I think they're really instrumental and influential on the team. Oh my God. Like, seriously. Oh my God. That is crazy. That is absolute crazy. So, but you've got the answer there. You've got the answer there. There's been lots of people saying, oh, why doesn't Pogba play in a deeper role? Or why is Pogba playing out left? And I said it last night. And some people, when I said it last night, were like, oh, I don't know about that, Owen. I said the reason that Pogba plays out on the left is because Scott McTominay and Fred are more of a priority to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in terms of being in those two lower, defensive midfielder positions than having Paul Pogba as a central midfielder. That's why Pogba's shoehorned out on the left, because it's a case I've got to get Pogba in the team, but heaven forbid I drop Scott McTominay and Fred. Heaven forbid that happens. And that's why he said it himself. He absolutely said it himself. Donny van der Beek must be listening to this press conference being like, right, he's there with his bag. He's been packing up anyway, probably thinking, I'm going to go in January because otherwise I'm not going to play for my country. But definitely now, he would hear those comments and go, wow, Fred and McTominay are golden boys. I can't do anything now. I might as well be off. Done. Finished. So anyone that thinks that McFred is going anywhere anytime soon, you've heard it from this manager himself. It's not happening. It just is not happening because they have energy and desire, and that's all he cares about. All he cares about, energy and desire. So, like I said before, and like I said at the weekend, once they are announced tomorrow to be in the starting lineup, because they will be, they absolutely will be, when that team sheet comes out and it says Scott McTominay and Fred, there will be uproar. There will be people going, I can't believe he's played them. But I will say, you can't believe he's played them. He told you that he was going to. He said he really likes them. They're instrumental. They're one of the first names on the team sheet. Forget Ronaldo and Bruno as the first two names. It's Scott McTominay and Fred any day of the week for him. And that's what he said. And he's going to have to live and die by those comments. He really will. Super chat here from, I'm going to butcher your name. I really apologize. Aluwa Demalare. Not bad, Owen. Says, I think he needs energy and desire to help close spaces. McFred masks his coaching deficiencies in our defensive compactness. I don't disagree with the sense that they provide energy and desire, and they do, but that should be the minimum. That should be the minimum for any Manchester United player. And again, I'm sure that Donny van der Beek has energy and desire. I'm sure even Matic, like we say, like he's this decrepit old fossil, but he's got energy and desire. You know, any professional football player, irrespective of what club you play for, should have energy and desire. That should be the minimum. We're talking about quality here, and that's the situation. Is that no one doubts that Scott McTominay and Fred have energy and desire. What people have their doubts about is their quality to be in that role, their quality to play for Manchester United, and their quality to actually move the team forward and help us play an attractive or progressive style of football. Energy and desire should be the minimum. I have energy and desire when I wake up in the morning and have a cup of coffee. Doesn't mean I'm going to play for Manchester United in defensive midfielder position. That's not going to happen. I think it's just, it's crazy. Ray says, Super Chat from Ray says, Calvin Phillips for 60 million is a bargain. Not bad. I mean, there's been a lot about Calvin Phillips actually this morning, hasn't there, when it goes to him. I like Calvin Phillips, but there's a lot of discussions about whether he would actually want to come to Manchester United. Apparently his family doesn't like Manchester United or something like that. Not that that matters. Football at the end of the day. And I know I've seen people go, well, he wouldn't come to Manchester United because he plays for Leeds. Oh, because no one's ever gone from Leeds to Manchester United. No, it's never happened. Only Eric Cantona, only Alan Smith, only Rio Ferdinand, all those kind of players, right? That's never happened. Dan James just went from Manchester United to Leeds. So that whole idea that, they would never come. They would never come. Come on. Let's not play like that. Let's not say those kind of things. The next question was from Ivan Camillo, which is a Spanish journalist. Said, thoughts on Villarreal tomorrow? What do you expect? He said, we've played each other 5 times. Every time has been a draw. Very well organised, technically very good. They can play from the back. It's hard to press against them, which I thought we did well in the Europa League final. Once he said that again as well, I was like, here we go. He's like, I thought we pressed them well in the Europa League final. Did you think that, guys? Did you think that? Did you think that we pressed them well in the Europa League final? Seriously? I mean, oh my goodness. We pressed him well in the Champions League final. I don't know about that. I really don't know about that. He did reference the Europa League final as well quite a lot too. Said that they play from the back with technically gifted players. They're technically very good. He said it's hard to press against them, but I thought we did that well in the final. He said it's difficult to create chances, have to be better in decisions, passing and tempo. He said it was a very even final. To be honest with you, when he was talking about that final and he was bringing up the final once again, my thought process was like, Solskjaer, why would you want to keep bringing that up? Because that's arguably your biggest failure to date. Really, it is, isn't it? That is his biggest failure to date. And for a lot of people, when it comes to that Europa League final, that was the time where I think a lot of people went, actually, you know what? I'm done with Solskjaer. That's what a lot of people thought. A lot of people said, you know what? I was willing to give Solskjaer the benefit of the doubt. He came second last year. Yes, we were miles off it, but there was some kind of sense of improvement or a feeling of improvement. That final last year for a lot of people was the moment they went, you know what? I don't care where we finished in the league. And I don't care that it's a final we don't care about because we didn't manage that final, or specifically, I'll get there in the end, guys. Specifically, Solskjaer didn't manage that final well enough. So I was surprised he kept bringing it up. Oh yeah, the final. Oh, it was a tough final. I'm like, Ollie, don't talk about the final because that was not your best night at all. And that final, a lot of people go that we would have won that final if we had a different manager because he didn't manage it very well at all. So I was very surprised that he brought that up. And again, him saying that they're very hard to press and they're this and they're that. I'm like, man, I understand giving respect to the opponent, Ollie, but again, some of his answers today were just, they will go against him. They will absolutely go against him. There's no doubt about that. So the next question was from Simon Stone. Said that you lost your first game in the group stage. It increases pressure to get positive results. Even though it's still early, 1 point or no points, after tomorrow night, it will be very difficult. And this is what Solskjaer said. He agreed with him. He said there are only 6 games and you need 10, maybe 12 points to go through. We lost 3 points last time. If you end up with 0 or 1 point after 2 games, you need to win the last 4 games probably. Not a must-win game, but an important one. And again, he's not technically wrong. He's not technically wrong, whereby he's saying that it's not technically a must-win game. If we lose tomorrow, we're not out of the Champions League, but it is a must-win game, though. You can't. If he loses tomorrow, and I said this before, if he loses tomorrow, he's not going to get sacked. But the pressure that would be on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer if he loses that game tomorrow will be huge. People will start talking. It will become a much bigger talking point than it already is anyway. And that's the crazy thing. He mentioned that Atalanta and Villarreal drew last time and tried to kind of throw some shade on Villarreal, going, well, maybe they expected to win. Who cares about Villarreal drawing at home, Ollie? Come on. Who gives a shit about that? Oh, yeah, Villarreal, I bet they're disappointed they dropped points. Come on. No, focus on them. Focus on us. And basically he said, look, it's a very important game. You have to win all your home games, which you do. You have 3 home games, win them all, 9 points, win an away game, you get through, basically. That's what he said. And he said that the focus is on 3 points and getting a good response from the weekend. So the next question was from Michael Gray. Said that Villarreal, I like this question actually. He said Villarreal went to a 5 at the back against Real Madrid the weekend. They actually drew against Real Madrid, got a really good point away from home. He said, would you consider changing your system against them? And as soon as he said this, I thought, no. I can answer that one for you, Michael. You don't need to ask Ollie it. No, he's not going to change his system. But he said, look, you always have to look at the opposition. Sometimes you have to make adjustments. Sometimes you have to tweak it. We always look at ourselves mostly. It's kind of an 80-20 split in terms of looking at ourselves and looking at the oppositions. He says, we make sure we've got to play better, do better. He says the more injuries you have in defence, referencing to the likes of Shaw and Maguire, said you might have to do some tactical changes, maybe some formation changes. He says that can happen. But he then said, quote, I've got Eric, Rafael, Victor, Alex and Diogo 100% fit. Hopefully Luke Shaw can be involved. So basically he's saying, look, we don't focus on the opposition, even though he spent the majority of the press conference talking about the final where he was involved with the opposition. We don't focus on the opposition. And then when he said, you're going to change the way you play, he basically said, look, if you've got a lot of defensive problems, then maybe you would, but I don't. Because even though Maguire isn't going to play and maybe Shaw is or isn't going to play, I've still got Tellers, I've still got Bailly, I've still got Rafael Varane, I've still got Lindelof, I've still got Dalot, etc. So even with those absences in defence, he's not changing. We know, and I'll get into this when I get into the match preview, but we know exactly the formation that he's going to play tomorrow. It's going to be 4-2-3-1. It just is. If we showed up tomorrow and Ollie went, right, I've gone to like a back five, or I've gone to like a 4-4-2, I've gone to a diamond, I would be stunned. I'd be like, wow, that's very interesting. But despite him being asked there, would you change the way you play for certain teams? He basically went, no, not going to do it. So that's kind of the situation there. Be sure to smash a like on the like button, guys. We're at 115 likes. Let's see if we can get to 150. So that's 35 likes. We've got over 460 people watching. So be sure to smash a like on the video too. Per Carlson had the next question. Big up Per, of course, we've done an interview here on the channel before. Says that the pressure, of course, always rises after losing a couple of games. Gary Neville's comments have obviously been out and been widely actually praised and received by a lot of Manchester United fans, talking about comments about a clearer style of play. That was Gary Neville's big criticism, wasn't it? That he watches this team and it's a team of individuals. There's no patterns of play. There isn't a lot of consistency. They play in moments. There's no clear style of play, patterns of play, etc. And Neville said, look, they're not playing well enough, or they don't play consistently well enough, and they don't have a pattern of play or a style of play that is good enough to win the league. So he was asked about this, and again, great question. Great question by Per Carlson. These are kind of the probing questions you want to see in these kind of press conferences. So first of all, Ollie said, I haven't read or heard it, which I always find interesting when people say that, but maybe he hasn't. He said, quote, of course you are working on your style of play, your patterns. The Aston Villa game, we broke up play really well. Maybe attacked too fast. Again, when I saw that, I was like, seriously? Maybe we attacked too fast. I was like, what? But this was, again, a very strange one. He was like, maybe we, the Aston Villa game, we broke up play really well, attacked maybe too fast. Gary knows that. Maybe we did it too fast. If you slow it down too much, it might be a low block again. We know Villarreal will defend well. We need to play quickly, but Gary knows what DNA is here at the club. Gary Neville exactly knows what DNA is here at the club. And Ole Gunnar Solskjaer mentioned several times in this press conference about what the DNA was like at the club, but it's kind of a case of, it's one thing to say it, but it's another thing to see it. He can say, I know what the DNA is here at the club. I know how we want to play. We want to play attacking football, and we want to win games, and we want to win trophies. That's fine saying it, but I don't know about you guys. I didn't see that at the weekend. I didn't see football that I went, that was really attacking stuff. That was really the Man United way, or the Man United DNA way, especially in some of those, not maybe the game at the weekend, but certainly some of the away performances. That's not Manchester United, the DNA. We go through games in moments. Gary Neville's, I don't want to call it criticism, but analysis of Manchester United this season wasn't necessarily wrong. It was spot on. And it was just a case of that there was no cohesion there, or there's no style of play, there's no patterns of play. And then for Solskjaer to basically say, I think, we broke up the play really well. Again, it comes down to, okay, is that the level, that the benchmark? We had energy and desire FC. Good for you guys. Like, come on. And then for then him to say, look, maybe we attacked too fast. I can almost understand where he's coming from, in the sense that I did think a couple of times where we passed the ball nicely around, then we just had a shot from 25 yards out. It should have been a case of actually, put your foot on the ball, look for another pass, and then have the shot. Not from 25, 30 yards out, and then at the end of the game go, we had so many shots, but nothing actually happened from any of those shots. That was so frustrating for me. But the idea that we attacked too fast, there are sometimes you watch Manchester United play, and again, I'm not seeing super attacking fast play. Sometimes I'm seeing a really slow tempo. So that's what I just didn't get. I just didn't get with that one as well. It was kind of a case of, he says the right things in stuff like that. I know what the Manchester United DNA is, but again, like, okay, but I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing it. That's what I just did not understand that one. See what the chat is saying. Thankfully, it stopped, like, Hurricane Utopia, where I am at the moment, has slowed down. My word. Like, apologies if you heard that with the sound. It's crazy. I tried to sort of speak really fast and be over the top of it. Fat Thor, which of course I really appreciate that name, says, hey Owen, you're doing great. If only Ollie out, they have similar levels of analysis and clarity like you. Keep up the great work, mate. Well, I really appreciate that, guys. Creds said, he said it's not a must-win game. Fuming. Yeah, a lot of people. Casper says he plays counter-attack football, but we attack too fast. That's, again, it felt very contradictory, didn't it? That's what I didn't understand with what he was saying. Kula says, United style of play is counter-attacking football, and maybe against Villa we played fast. Yeah, I was very confused. I was very confused by that comment. I was like the McTominay and Fred comments, plus we played too fast. Like, what? Oh, we should play slower next time. Again, I can appreciate the whole, like, okay, put your foot on the ball and then that extra pass of when you are 25 yards out, the shot doesn't need to be taken every time. But the idea that, oh, Manchester United, so many times I thought, oh, they're way too fast. Way too fast. What? I didn't get that. I really didn't get that. So, next question was from David McDonnell. It was about pressure and expectation. Spoke about scrutiny increases. Of course, it's 3 defeats in 4 in all competitions. This was another really good question. Said, what are you convinced that you're on the right path in terms of the manager and Manchester United? Why should the supporters have faith? Again, a really good question, because there are these supporters, and again, it's growing every single week, especially with performances like against Aston Villa at the weekend, whereby they are losing faith, and they're struggling to see this progression this year, and they're not convinced we're on the right path anymore. That Ollie's done an okay job to date, in the sense of we needed rebuilding, and there are parts of the club off the pitch that have been rebuilt well, and we have a stronger squad. He's built a stronger squad. You have to give him credit there. We've got consistency in terms of we've been in the Champions League the last few years. Okay, that's great, but I think a lot of fans at this point are just saying, but it feels like he's got to his level at this point. We're not going to win a trophy underneath him or something like that. So the question was to him, so why should the supporters have faith that you are the guy? And again, I didn't really get the answer. He said, quote, "My focus is always to win the next game short term and think long term about squad building. My focus now has been on winning this game, getting back on track. We focus on the league again from Thursday morning. We would have loved to be top of the league, but we are still up there. With the squad and coaches I have got, we can improve there. We'll get that consistency." And look, he's laying it all on the line. He's absolutely laying it all on the line, isn't he? He's basically saying, with the squad I have, I should be winning things. Again, and that's the truth. He should be winning things. Absolutely, he should be winning things. But again, it will come down to the end of the season, won't it? It will come down to the end of the season, in my opinion. I did find it funny when he said, like, with the coaches I have, we've got to be improving. And I thought, again, oh, here we go. Here we go, because I know what some of the fans that aren't rating Ollie or don't think he's the right man, they'll be saying, coaching staff? Seriously? What coaching staff? What are those coaching staffs doing? He's there talking to all of his minions around him in certain games, and you see him having these conferences with Carrick and McKenna and Phelan and what's his name, Ramsey, the new coach, and all this kind of stuff, but we're not seeing it. We're not seeing it on the pitch. So he knows that he's got to win something, but again, I didn't really understand that answer, to be honest with you. The next one was from Nacho Sanchez, which was a Spanish journalist, said about in the past, a lot of Villarreal Manchester United matches, they've all been draws. He said that now that you've got Ronaldo, he's got a great record against Villarreal from his time in Spain with Real Madrid. Can he be the key? I'll skip over this one pretty quickly because it's just one of those sort of generic Ronaldo questions. But he said, of course, Cristiano, you can almost say when he starts, he's guaranteed a goal. Wasn't at the weekend. He said that record, he has that record and he will score goals. 13 goals in 14 or 15 games against Villarreal means he enjoys playing against them. He knows Albiol and Torres, top defenders. He is determined to score every game he's on the pitch. So I don't really have much more to say about that, because now that Ronaldo's back at the club, you basically get those Ronaldo questions in these press conferences whereby he goes, do you think Ronaldo's going to score goals? Yes, I do. Okay. Or how great is it to have Ronaldo back? It's great to have Ronaldo back. Yes. Move on. And whenever they ask those questions, those journalists, I think, like, it is such a privilege, and you've got such an opportunity to ask a real great, insightful question about tactics or about, I don't know, someone else has said something about you or what the fans are thinking. Like, no disrespect, but as a fan, the thing I'm thinking about coming into this game isn't, doesn't Cristiano Ronaldo score a lot of goals? No, I'm asking about tactics. I'm thinking about the loss at the weekend. I'm thinking about all this kind of stuff. Like, I'm not thinking about that. I just think sometimes questions like that are just, they're such a waste. They're such a waste. Super chat from JK. Says, Ollie, go out there, boys, and win us the match. Players, okay, Gaffer, what tactics we're using? Ollie, tactics? What's that? Just put the ball in the nets. You missed out desire and passion, JK. That's what we're looking for as well. Alien Tedo says, Ollie will lead us to the Europa Conference. Oh, come on. That's just, you've sent a shiver down my spine. Did you see that? Did you actually see that? I actually, for a second, went, oh. You've scared me. You've scared me. Let's not even think of it. Let's not even think it. Could you imagine? It's almost sacrilege to have like Ronaldo if he ended up in there. Could you imagine? Next question was from Rob Dorset. He was asked once again about the Gary Neville comments. Solskjaer said, Gary has always a lot to say. I'm used to it. But he said that Gary has basically said Manchester United have to win a trophy this season or next. When he said all next, I was like, no. He needs to do something this season. Because if Ollie's not winning a trophy this season and he's really miles off it, it's one thing to say, like, if he was 6 points off the top of the league at the end of the season, I think he'd probably get another year. But if we don't win a trophy this year and we're miles off it, he will be gone because he'll be judged because he's got no excuses this year. So when he said in that question of, well, maybe next season, I was like, no. So basically the question was, do you feel like you have to win a trophy this season or the next due to the backing that you have received from the board in the transfer window? This is what Solskjaer said, quote, he being Gary Neville, has always got loads to say. The pressure is a privilege. To work in this environment, you have to embrace it. I have got to say I've been backed and the progress has worked well. The backing I have seems to me that we're sticking to that plan. Expectations have improved with the better signings and performances. I'm here to win. Gary knows that. We will get there hopefully around April and May. So again, he's making a rod for his own back. He's making a rod for his own back because he's basically saying that come the end of the season, he has to have a trophy and he has to have won something. Well, one's down already. You've dropped points in the league already. Given that you could win at the weekend, we might be top of the league. I get that. Other teams have dropped points too. But, there is a concern there. But he made a rod for his own back there. He said, look, I have been backed. He can't come out and say, well, we're still missing this one player. He said that he's been backed. And he's basically said that come April, May, we should be there and thereabouts. And if he isn't, those comments should be used against him. But that's what I've always said. I've said that this is the year to judge Solskjaer. And again, I think this is the point that people are talking about when it comes to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer at the moment is that over the last couple of years, I think he has done an okay job. But like he said himself, with better signings and these higher profile signings and the squad we've got now, the expectations, and they've always been there as a Manchester United fan, but certainly now with the squad that we've got now, the best squad we've had in a really long time. With the squad we've got now, the expectations are high, and it isn't acceptable not to be challenging, or it isn't acceptable to be losing 1-0 at home to Aston Villa. It isn't acceptable to be going out of even competitions like the Carabao Cup in the third round. That isn't acceptable, and he knows that. He's not naive enough to know that. But again, he's made a rod for his own back, and come the end of the season, he will be judged. He will absolutely be judged about that. So that was the press conference. It was, again, a bit of a doozy, to be honest with you. But sometimes, again, those press conferences are very just like nothing and just full of just non-questions. But that one was quite interesting. So we'll get into the match preview here, because it's actually on the thumbnail, the match preview. So there you go. Look at that technology. I can get up on the screen. First of all, when we get into this match preview, what is your prediction for tomorrow night? What is your prediction in terms of starting lineup and in terms of scoreline? We'll get your predictions up on the screen too. So this is actually tomorrow, the first Champions League game at Old Trafford with a crowd since April 2019, which is quite interesting, isn't it? Of course, because of the pandemic and not having crowds and all that kind of stuff. Villarreal, it's an interesting one. They've played 8 and they've drawn 7. They drew against Real Madrid at the weekend. Ollie has to manage the game better. Obviously, he has to manage the game better. He didn't manage the game well enough when we played him in the Europa League final, and he has to manage the game better. If he does the exact same thing he did in the Europa League final and it's like a 1-1, then that will be, again, another notch in those people that say Ollie isn't the right guy for us because he hasn't learned his lesson. There's been several times which we're like, oh, Ollie needs to learn from this. If we draw tomorrow, if we lose tomorrow, he obviously hasn't learned from, obviously, the result of the weekend and obviously the result in that final, which he brought up several times. Got some interesting predictions here. Maruf says Man United 2, Villarreal 0. Cool says 1-0 United. David Lee says Villarreal is going to win 2-1. Fat Thor says score draw. That rhymes as well. Troll Face says I see a boring draw 1-1. Kulav says 2-1 with Villarreal scoring first. And yes, I'm being a hopeless romantic. Very interesting. Jason says, love your content along with your presentations. Thank you. Well, I appreciate that, Jason. I'm mixing up my words here. Lux Hill says 2-1 because we have Lindelof. Kristen says betting on Villarreal, so we win. Interesting. It is quite divided. I'll get into that in a second. So, yes, our record against Villarreal isn't great. Mostly draws. I think only draws. Ollie has to manage the game better. Look, let's be honest here. When it comes to Villarreal, and we have some Villarreal team news in a second. When it comes to Villarreal, I know that people like to say, Emery, good evening, all that kind of stuff, and he gets a lot of stick from his time over here in the UK as the Arsenal manager, Arsenal coach, whatever you want to call it. He's not a bad manager, though. He is not a bad coach. Tactically, he's astute. He saw it in the Europa League final. He hasn't won the amount of trophies he's won in his career. Certainly, all of those Europa League finals with Sevilla and with Villarreal now. And he got to a Europa League final with Arsenal as well, by the way. He doesn't get there by being a bad coach. Tactically, he knows what he's doing. He knows how to set up a team, an inferior team to the opposition that he's playing, and get a result. That's how he's won those finals. That's how he beat us last year. That's how he got a draw with Real Madrid at the weekend. He knows what he's doing. You can't tell me that Unai Emery didn't watch the game at the weekend and doesn't have all of these tactical analysis about Manchester United of they can't handle a low block. If we do a low block, they'll struggle. And if we just then rely on set pieces or we rely on our own counter-attacks or whatever, they'll struggle. He knows that. Or if we play two strikers instead of one striker, they'll occupy the two centre-backs and then they won't know what to do. You can draw Fred and McTominay out of position just by, like I don't know, like a cat when you just throw a toy and they run off after it. He knows that. And again, that's my concern, is that they're a well-coached side. They absolutely are a well-coached side, and he'll do his very, very best to nullify us. They'll go for a draw. Villarreal won't be playing for a win. They'll be going for a draw, and they'll be very, very pragmatic, and we'll struggle against that. We absolutely will struggle against that. I have no doubt about it. That's why my prediction, which I'll get into fully in a bit, is that it's going to be a really tight, scrappy game, and it's going to be one of those games, again, like the away performances, even though it's at home this time, like those away performances we've had in the league this season where it's been a bit tough to watch, and you're getting through the game and go, man, this is a bit, we might have to ride our luck a little bit, because when we start to try and press them a little bit more, they'll have a couple of counterattacks, and whoever's in goal will have to make big saves. That's what I think we're going to get tomorrow. I really do. Be sure to smash a like on the video at 165 likes. Let's see if we can get to 200. So that's 35 likes. See if we can get it like that. It's like I'm Thanos. I can click my fingers and we can get to 200 likes. So Villarreal team news. Gerard Moreno, who of course scored in that Europa League final between us last year, is absent, so that's a big loss for them, certainly. Juan Foyth was a doubt for Villarreal, but looks like he is going to be in the side, so he's going to be, he's been training with them ahead of the flight to Manchester, so Juan Foyth, who again struggled to get in like the Spurs side, which again just feels crazy to me that we're going, oh, what a massive boost that Juan Foyth's going to be playing for them. He had picked up an injury over the weekend with the 0-0 draw against Real Madrid. Francis Coquelin is suspended after getting a red card in the draw of Atalanta, who is actually quite a big miss for them. He's a big player for Villarreal too. They've also got suspensions with Danny Rabah and Samuel Chukwueze are battling to be fit as well, so I've got some injuries too. So that's the situation there. As far as the team, which I think will start, this is an interesting one. Which goalkeeper do you think will start? Which goalkeeper do you think will start? I don't know. I don't know. I'm not sure. Would you think it would be Henderson, or do you think it would be De Gea? Because last year there was a different goalkeeper for the European competitions, but for a game this big, it should be David De Gea, right? For me, it should be David De Gea. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be shocked if Henderson started tomorrow. And I think again that will raise questions, but I can see already in the comments, it's quite divided, actually. It's quite divided. A lot of people are saying De Gea, but also some people are saying Henderson. Interesting. It's an interesting one. I think it's a difference of which one would you play and which one do you think he will play. I would play De Gea. I've just got a sneaky feeling he might go... sneaky suspicion. Suspicion and feeling. Sneaky suspicion that he'll go with Henderson. But I would go with De Gea. This is the team I would go with. I would go with De Gea. If Shaw is fit enough to play without risking further injury, I would play him. If it's kind of a case of 50-50 at our last 45, then don't bother. Just play Telles, right? We can't afford to have another defensive substitution, all that kind of stuff again. So, no. But if he is fully fit and ready to play, I would go with Shaw. Varane will play. I think the centre-back that will partner Varane will probably be Lindelof. We saw Lindelof come on for Harry Maguire at the weekend, so I would think Lindelof probably comes on. We know that right back's going to be Dalot, because of course Wan-Bissaka is suspended. I've spent a long time today talking about McTominay and Fred, so we know what the answer is going to be there. But McTominay and Fred are playing, we know, because they've got that energy and desire, guys. Energy and desire, and they're very influential on the team. Ollie loves them. First two names on the team sheet, by the way. Oh, my goodness. McTominay and Fred. I think, and because McTominay and Fred, I think that means Pogba plays out on the left. Again, they shoehorn him in. I think Bruno, of course, starts in the 10. I think the one difference tomorrow might be, instead of Greenwood starting on the right, I wouldn't be surprised if he went with Sancho. I think he might go with Sancho tomorrow. He might give Sancho an opportunity because I don't think from an attacking sense he'll play the same attacking lineup that he did at the weekend, because I think he will be thinking about the game at the weekend as well when it comes to playing Everton. So I think there will be a little bit of rotation. So I'm going to say that Sancho probably starts ahead of Greenwood. I might be wrong there. I mean, who knows at this point? Well, the one thing is for certain that McTominay and Fred are definitely going to be playing. That's what we do know. Otherwise, who knows? Who knows? Should he change it from the side at the weekend? Well, yeah, he should, because we didn't win. And it wasn't good enough at the weekend. In my opinion, Pogba should be starting in the 8 position with McTominay. Then you can play both Greenwood and Sancho. But we know that's not going to happen. We know that isn't going to happen. Should Matic be playing instead of, should it be like Matic and Pogba? I would much prefer that. I would, because Matic is the best defensive midfielder we have at the club right now, and we only need to play with one. We don't need to play with 2. But he will. We know that. But Matic should play, especially considering, of course, he didn't play at the weekend. And the idea is that he can only play 1 game per week. Fine, play him in a game like this. If you need a game that you need someone, like, this is the thing as well. Like, Solskjaer can say about energy and desire. I know that there's going to be quite a high intense maybe press from Villarreal tomorrow, but realistically, if they are going to play a low block and they are going to be quite pragmatic, do we really need to have energy and desire in McTominay and Fred? Or do we need someone like Matic who can actually put his foot on the ball and find a forward pass, who actually has a bit of experience, and especially a game that is going to be quite tense and it's going to be a highly pressurized game because we need to win? Why not have Matic in there? We don't need erratic FC and energy FC in the middle of the park. No, we probably need Matic. We probably need a bit of experience, but again, we know his favourites. Ollie has his favourites, and we know what his favourites will be. Martial, will he play? I think it's unlikely, to be honest with you. I think he had his opportunity against West Ham in the Carabao Cup. Didn't go well, and I would be surprised if he plays. Again, the Henderson one I think is interesting. I think that there is a possibility he could play and he could start, because I think Ollie will still be trying to keep his goalkeepers happy. In my opinion, though, and this is someone that I used to play in goal. You know me, that for me, I think a goalkeeper should you pick your number one, and it's your number one for all the competitions. Maybe Carabao Cup, you can have a Henderson come in, but in my opinion, your number one is your number one, irrespective. It's not like, I know people can talk about, mental tiredness and all that kind of stuff with goalkeepers, which is true, like mental, fitness and concentration on the game. But in a game that's so important tomorrow, I think we needed David De Gea. But I really wouldn't be surprised if Henderson plays tomorrow. As far as Eric Bailly, again, I maybe could see him going against his former club, because obviously Ollie loves playing his players against former clubs. But for me, I would probably see Lindelof and Varane starting, again, considering that Lindelof came on for Maguire at the weekend, so I think that's the direction he might go in. The question would be Telles for Shaw, obviously. Again, for me, if Shaw can't play 90, then I wouldn't play him, because I don't want to be in the situation like we were at the weekend, whereby if something is going wrong and we do need to make changes, we can't, because we had to take Luke Shaw off after 60 minutes because he only had 60 minutes in his leg. If he's only got 60 minutes in his legs, don't bother. Play Telles so we actually have an attacking substitution so we can change the game later on if we need to. But so that's kind of my feeling on that. If he can play the full 90, fine, then I'd play Luke Shaw, because I want to play the best team possible because we need to win. Otherwise, I would play Telles. Cavani. Should Cavani play? Well, again, it's interesting because Ronaldo's going to play. And the way that we play, the system that we play, the formation that we play, it's one striker, and that's Ronaldo. So that means Cavani won't start. And I know Cavani is coming back from injury, but they came on and they had two up top in the end. Why couldn't he spring a surprise and play both of them up top, or change the system? He should, but he won't. So I think Cavani will be on the bench. Obviously, look, there's going to be lots of questions. If he loses, will he get sacked? No. Is it a must-win? It's a very, very, very important game to win. Technically, it's not a must-win, because obviously he can win his remaining games and still get through. But the pressure would be massively on. Massively, massively on. If we lose, Manchester United are in massive, massive, massive trouble for that group. It would be 4 losses out of the last 5 games. If we lose, the pressure and the toxicity around him and in the fan base will rise exponentially, because then it's a case of, this isn't a case of like just a bit of bad form. This is a case of the manager's not doing something right because we're not even getting the results anymore. Previously, when the play wasn't there and the patterns of play wasn't there, you could always point to some of the results. So you could point to him in the league and he'd be like, see? But if you're struggling in the Champions League in a group that we should be breezing, then he's got a massive trouble. We should be beating Villarreal at home. We should. And I don't like to be one of those people that compares us all the time to City and Chelsea and Liverpool, but they're our rivals. They're the ones we have to be comparing ourselves to, unfortunately. And if Manchester City or Chelsea or Liverpool were playing Villarreal at home in the Champions League, you wouldn't even bother watching the game because you would know that they're going to win. Manchester United tomorrow, I don't know. Honestly, I really don't know because I don't know what Manchester United is going to show up. I really don't. I have no idea what Manchester United is going to show up. We could be 3-0 up in like 30 minutes and then we'll be fine. Or it will get to 55 minutes and then we're looking around and going, it's either 1-0 or it's 0-0 again. And to them, 1-0 to them or 0-0 again. And we're looking around going, he needs to make subs. Why isn't he making subs? 75th minute, 80th minute. Okay, now we make subs or something like that. That's the situation. I have no idea which Manchester United will show up tomorrow. Now, hopefully, I think we'll win. But my prediction is that it might be a 2-1 or something like that. I don't think it's going to be pleasing on the eye. I think it's going to be really tough. I think it's going to be scrappy. He can talk about Manchester United DNA and he can talk about the Manchester United way of playing football. I don't think we'll see that tomorrow. I really don't. I think it's going to be scrappy. I think we're going to play in moments. I don't think there's going to be patterns of play. I think we'll have lots of shots again, and maybe we'll be playing too fast once again and all that kind of stuff. But what does having shots even mean at this point? Nothing. It doesn't mean anything. So ultimately, the result is the most important tomorrow. You know, we can talk about patterns of play, styles of play till the cows come home, but I'd much rather win and then be having the conversation of, well, we need to play more attractive football, but we're still in the Champions League and we don't have it all to do at the end of the day. But look, if it's 55 minutes and it's 0-0 and it's not working again, they'll get restless. The crowd will get restless, the crowd will get on Ollie's back, and it'll be a tough place to be. Old Trafford's been buzzing and bouncing this season. But you heard it at the weekend. 55 minutes in, 60 minutes in, they wanted to see changes. They wanted to see changes and they wanted to see something different. And for a while they didn't. It took basically for the crowd to be getting really on Ollie to actually be bringing on Cavani. It really did. So it'll be an interesting watch. But again, I don't think it's going to be pleasing on the eye, and I think it's going to be a difficult watch. I really do. We're only 10 likes off 200, so be sure to smash a like on the like button. We've got over 500 watching, so really appreciate that. Be sure to subscribe as well. Bottom right-hand corner, as I mentioned, we're on 75,000 subscribers now, which is amazing. The growth that's here on United View is just incredible, absolutely amazing. So as far as later today, as I mentioned, there will be a Flex and KG show coming up. This is so typical, isn't it? Just as I'm sort of wrapping things up, you know, the cyclone behind me stops. Unbelievable. Weather hates me. Absolutely hates me. It's a sign. It's a sign for tomorrow. A storm's coming. A storm's brewing. Every time we talk about Manchester United, it starts pouting it down outside. If I was looking into links together, if I was a very, what's the phrase when, you know, you look, when you've got lots of rituals, whatever. If I was one of those people, if I was looking for connections, I would be concerned. I would be very concerned. But fingers crossed it goes well tomorrow. But yes, for content today, there is going to be a Flex and KG show coming out later on this evening. So they're going to be live, which is going to be a lot of fun. Superstitious. Thank you, Fat Thor. Yes, I'll get you up on the screen as well. That's what I was thinking about. Superstitious. If I was a superstitious man, I would be like, oof, that's not good. When I'm talking about Manchester United, the heavens start to open up, which is not good, which is not good, which really isn't good. But yes, apologies if the noise was a bit too loud. I'm sorry. What can I do? But yes, Flex and KG show coming up today. Obviously, tomorrow we're going to have a ton of content. There's going to be a road trip with Flex. There's going to be a match view with KG. There's going to be the match reaction with myself and hopefully DJ. And obviously there's going to be all the fan views as well. So big game tomorrow, and a very exciting time. But look, guys, as always, I will speak with you again very, very soon. Peace.